out. This is Tales from the Bottom of the Ocean. I am, as always, Austin. This is Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Existing.
Oh, jeez. All right. So, this is the Existentialism episode. Yeah. We're doing that one. But first, obviously, I must pay homage to the people who make the show possible, obviously. Biodynamic audio equipment. They are allowing us to broadcast our most amazing voices to you all. Thank you very much, Biodynamic, excuse me. But, let me see. But yes, existentialism. Existentialism it's actually a really interesting philosophy because...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You seem to be choking up on your words.
Stop. No, don't do it. Don't. Not yet. Not yet. But existentialism is a very interesting philosophy because, like, a lot of the people who, like, came up with all the structures of its, like, see, now you messed me up. You know what? Just do it. Yeah, I'm choking my words, Mike.
Choking on your words. You need the life back. A device. Stop laughing at it. It's actually very important.
No.
It is a device that, if you don't know the Heimlich maneuver, if that's not working, you simply put it on the choker's mouth. And you just press down and sucks it right in.
Really? So if I'm choking right now, you could, and you didn't want to, like, do mouth to mouth, you can save my life with that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's a life vac.
It's life vac.
One of our glorious sponsors. Thank you.
Thank you, life vac.
If I'm ever choking, I hope I got a life vac.
You hope you have it, or you hope, like, someone can, like, take it out of your pocket, I'm guessing.
You can't fit that in your pocket.
I don't know. How do you know that? How do you know that if you're, like, in a busy airport, you're not gonna feel around, like, for, like, ID? And just notice that, oh, this guy's was a life vac.
Oh, yeah, the first thing you do when you see a choking person, rob them.
Shit, has he got a life vac? No.
Oh, forget it then. All right, back to existentialism.
Yeah, existentialism. So these philosophers, the most famous of them being Soren Kierkegaard, Friedrich Nietzsche, Jean-Paul Sartre, which I believe is the most recent one, and Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Well, not the most recent one. That'd be you.
Yeah, exactly. But all these men, what's funny is that they didn't necessarily, like, come together. They associated somewhat, but they largely made up the bulk of what existential thought is. But, like, the majority of it really is, like, the works of, like, how should I say, lesser filmmakers, critics, movie makers, how should I say, playwrights, and etc. What? Thank you.
How lovely.
Yeah, I don't know who that was. I'm sorry. But anyway.
Good thing that they didn't see me because I panned the camera away.
Oh, wow.
And you just kind of ruined that immersion.
Don't worry about it. Don't listen. We have a really great show lined up, so it doesn't even matter. But but the main thing about existentialism is that these men believe that that philosophical thinking starts centrally with the human subject, like the individual,
as opposed to nature or stress or work, like our previous episodes.
Exactly. Like, not merely just the thinking subject, but, like, the acting, like, living, breathing person, like, devoid of all, like, societal sort of boundaries and, like, expectations and quote unquote their essence, as they like to say. But just the fact that you exist, you have some level of philosophical thought just by existing.
I see.
Yeah. So now there's a lot to go over, and I have pretty much everything here. There's no way I'd be able to remember it all, just like off the top of my head. But how should I say? What are you doing?
Continue. I'll just keep this handy in case you start choking again.
Choking on what?
Air words.
Okay, you're gonna vacuum out air with that?
Yeah, just keep going.
Oh my God!
Don't worry about it.
You're starting to scare me now.
Yeah, you should be.
But yes, we have concepts and quotes to discuss, Mike. So it's a merge between the two, since we have so much to go over. All right. So first, the quote. This is by Jean-Paul Sartre, and I want to know what you think about it. I know you've read something by him.
I attempted, but it just was a lot of big words.
Yeah.
I really just didn't get it.
What was the book called?
Being in Nothingness. I got it because it was in The Big Lebowski.
Fair enough. And it's like a really existential, like, dealing movie, right?
In a way. I feel like we should just do a separate episode about The Big Lebowski.
We will. We're going to do, like, movie stuff.
We should get
probably.
John Goodman on this. Jeff Bridges. Oh, my God.
Jesus. But anyway, okay, so this is on existence preceding essence, which I definitely want you to know your thoughts about. But he says, man, first of all, exists, encounters himself, surges up in the world, and defines himself afterwards. It's by Jean-Paul Sartre. What do you think that means?
I think it means, like, you do stuff and then you decide what you're like. I don't know. See, I don't really understand existentialism.
You're really not.
No. That book was really hard. But I think what you're saying is, like, well, what he's saying is that us humans gotta do stuff, and when we do it, we feel good, and we think about ourselves higher than normal.
Yeah. Well, the whole reason why, I mean, the whole idea of existence preceding essence is, like, very plainly, like, the first thing you should consider when dealing with an individual is the fact that they are an individual. Like, free thinking. Even though they might not act like it, free thinking, free living, what?
No, they might not act like it. That's
well,
fine.
yeah. Yeah. It's because it's better off for everybody. Because I mean, like, you know, the way our criminal justice system is supposed to work, obviously, is because it's supposed to what?
Nothing. Just go on.
It's supposed to regard like people as individuals who commit, you know, acts independent of groups of people.
So it's like disassociating person from action.
Well, not so much, which is actually like a criticism of it because it makes the claim like, okay, so like based on like all these ideas compounding together, like you can very easily make the claim that, oh, my actions have no real repercussions since I mean it's
like
just me existing.
Weaponized nihilism.
Exactly. But like the purpose of it is to say that you should regard yourself as a free thinking individual first before anything else. So you can better understand how the world is working around you.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll remember.
Yeah. Rather than what labels and roles and stereotypes apply to you, you should seek to separate your essence, quote unquote, from your existence, and have your existence supersede all other things. So I mean. Because, I mean, the fact that you exist, I mean, you know, there's a level of morality that's just applied to that, isn't there? Like, you know, with human rights.
Guess. Yeah. Sure.
All right, so this is the next topic, next concept to discuss, Mike. It's on the absurd. Now, that's not just, like, you know, the absurd, like, just one, like, just a couple
Many
words.
absurdities.
No, but it's an actual, like, concept, so it's like capital the, you know, capital A absurd. Like it's a whole entire philosophical concept in itself. So this is by Albert Camus, who actually made the absurd really popular as like a philosophical thinking. Like,
Camus.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Shamu. Continue.
But he says there is only one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. What do you think that means?
Well, yeah, it's a pretty big problem if you just cease to exist because you killed yourself. That's a bad problem.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's an issue. It's a problem. Being dead, that sucks.
He would make the best politician, wouldn't he? Like, people are dying, and that's bad.
Well, I mean, like, I think it's, like, the whole suicide aspect. Because, like, you're killing yourself. So, like, you were given this existence, and you took it for granted and just fucking ended it.
Well, is that the only reason why people would kill themselves?
No, but I don't know. I guess, like, you could kill yourself if you had, like, if oh, should I stick around and like freeze to death, or should I just shoot myself in the head? I'm in the North Pole. Santa doesn't exist, and so I don't know where he is.
That's the reason.
So well, no, it's not the reason. It's just like you could just walk into his warm little chocolate gingerbread house, or wherever the hell, and be warm. But if you're in the North Pole,
What are you talking about?
I'm saying like if killing yourself is a way easier death than what you're being presented, I guess do it. I'd rather shoot myself in the head than freeze to death. I think the North Pole is completely submerged in water, or the South Pole
completely.
Is. Yeah, I heard something like that.
Well, it's the North Pole. I know is like mostly land masses that you can easily traverse. I know.
Oh, so then maybe I wouldn't kill myself there, but maybe the South Pole.
Just go like 3 miles downward and you go to Greenland or whatever.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Meet some like massive barbarian fellow or whatever.
No.
Read the chat.
We have someone in the chat posing a very deep and important question.
Let's hear it.
Okay,
Shoot.
The question is, why is it the only problem? I feel there are others which can benefit from philosophical thinking. What is the distinction that makes offing yourself the sole issue? That's from Ishtahal in the chat.
What makes it the sole issue?
Yeah.
Of like the act of doing it? Like what is the sole...
Let me see. He's saying like, why is it the only problem? Like, you know,
what were you saying about the quote? Why is that the one philosophical problem? I think
like, what is the distinction that makes offing yourself the sole issue? That's basically what he wrote.
I would assume that like since the nature of this is such like a dire thing, like it's so streamlined, like you exist and all that, the essence. I think voluntarily ridding yourself of your essence and existence is why that's the problem. And we don't really know, like, is he explicitly talking about suicide, like the guy in the quote? Or is he talking, like, suicide in other ways? Like, let's say, metaphorically speaking, if you gave up everything, that's suicide in a way. Like, if you gave up your passions, your dreams, would that be considered suicide?
I mean, in a way. Well, let me reflect on what the absurd actually means. So, what it means, like, very plainly, as Camus put it. Like, this was his view on the absurd. There's actually another one by Soren Kierkegaard. He had like a different sort of idea. And what's interesting is that they didn't live like anywhere close to each other, but they both had these ideas.
I'd assume, yeah.
Yeah, which is what makes it so cool. But by Camus' standards, he was saying how the absurd is mankind's search for meaning in a world that is bereft of meaning. Like, it's a sort of hopeless, absurd existence where you're clamoring to make your life mean something, but the universe literally doesn't care.
So then why is suicide such a bad thing if the universe doesn't care?
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so, I mean, I wanted to talk about Albert Camus a little bit later, but one thing he wanted to do was he actually really, really resented nihilism.
I'd agree.
And he wanted to live a life very distant, how should I say, from meaning, but also crusaded against nihilism, if that makes sense. So in a way, he's a kind of an absurd guy.
Yeah, that seems bizarre, actually.
He's that's why I like.
Well, because nihilism in and of itself isn't inherently bad. It's when you use it to like live your life without consequence is when it starts being bad. Because then you're impacting others in a bad way.
Yeah.
But then if you're a nihilist, you're like, oh, I don't care because I don't have to. With existentialism, you can't really do that because since existing gives you a sense of morality and human rights, you shouldn't really be doing such a thing.
Yeah. Like, I feel like existentialism, it's more like it's sort of like a platform by which you can expand upon into like other sort of like theories about ethics, about, morality, etc.
So then suicide would just be cutting all that short.
Exactly. I'd say so.
Oh, so
I believe Camus had thought that like suicide in itself is very well, it's just something that like you really just like if you have like so many ills with the world and with yourself, then like suicide, he just didn't believe it was really the answer. Like he sort of touted this whole idea of the absurdist hero, which is like someone who, despite the absurd uncaringness of the universe, he just lived through it and tried to find happiness and solace in it.
I suppose. I don't really understand why it's the sole issue, like the only problem. Is it because like the problems, other problems just happen and that's just gotta live with them? Whereas like, that makes sense because all these problems that do happen and like all these things they happen and like it's something that sometimes you control, sometimes you don't. But I think the reason suicide counts is because it's something you can't come back from.
Yeah.
Like it's done and over with once you do it.
Yeah.
But then what about murder? Would murder be viewed the same way?
Well, murder, I guess, in that sense, is that you're cutting someone's existence short. Because remember, existence is like the primary
so
virtue.
then shouldn't that be like the other big problem? Shouldn't like just imposing death on anything really?
Yeah. In a way, yeah.
I think that I hope that answers that question.
Well, I mean, bottom line is that, like, I mean, no, suicide isn't necessarily, like, the only problem. But the reason why the reason why it is a problem is because it kind of denies people the experience of
Denies
existing.
you the experience of existing.
Well, yeah, denies you the experience of existing.
So I suppose we'll move on.
Yeah. There is another thing that Kierkegaard had thought about the absurd. And he thought it was absurd that basically, like, due to, like, our inherent limitations as being human. Well, no, he thought that it was absurd that we think ourselves free despite having limitations as human beings. So, like, obviously we can't breathe in space.
Obviously.
So we can't, do absolutely everything we want.
Not now, but down the line, I mean,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, but I guess his bottom line is that, like, even though we value, even though like freedom is like a sort of very, very important thing, there's obviously a level of responsibility that comes with your life and with existing.
Which again, nihilism would conflict with.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that you're taking jabs at nihilism, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be a boring episode.
Nihilism, we just don't show up.
Yeah.
This was 2 microphones for an hour.
Yeah. and just the plumbus or whatever the hell it's called, the life vac.
It's
is
a
sitting
life
on
vac.
Yeah, they're sitting on the table. With a note on it that says "Buy me." All right. Oh, there's a chat thing.
Yeah, we're pretty new to the whole chat experience.
Yeah. Hopefully one day I hope to have like maybe a
Why don't
better.
you read the chat?
Yeah, I will. But anyway, nihilism. This is from Ishtal again.
Cool.
Nihilism and the search for meaning are at the polar opposites. Perhaps he proposes that one should find a middle ground in which you enjoy life for what it is and not dedicate yourself to the extensive drive to find purpose, nor conclude that existence is completely devoid of meaning.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
There is nihilism isn't inherently bad, like I said. You don't have to worry and care about everything. You get to pick and choose to.
Yeah.
So that's just something you should do. You don't have to care about everything, but at the same time, there's some things you should.
Yeah, there are some responsibilities that you have.
Would you consider nihilism and existentialism polar opposites?
Polar opposites?
I don't think so. I think something more like forceful when it comes to morality would be the polar opposite. Like you have to do good no matter what. Well, no, nihilism's not always about doing bad though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you not be recognized by your existence and importance from nihilism?
Yeah, I'd say.
Did you hear that?
It's a polar opposite
Kidding.
in that way.
It is a polar opposite in that way, because if you would reject your essence having meaning, then it would be quite different in that regard, yeah.
Well, the main...
I think I'm just demonizing nihilism too much, so that I'm warping it into you should only do good. It's not that. I'd say existentialism in that sense, yeah. I'd say those are pretty good opposites.
Well, what you're saying is you're creating a straw man.
Yeah, I am creating a straw man.
Ooh. I used the argumentative
Because you keep
term.
going back to the Big Lebowski, and the nihilists are a whole big thing, but they were pretty demonized because they were the concept of the main character, the dude, was using nihilism in a good way because he wouldn't stress things, whereas the main villains were using it in a bad way because they wouldn't stress things and so they wouldn't consider consequence.
Oh yeah.
What a good movie!
Yeah, we should definitely talk about it once. Or at least
once. We already did it 3 times.
as an episode, I mean. Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, so next concept with a quote. It's a double whammy. It's on the existentialist concept, authenticity.
All right, let me get my listening ears on this one.
All right. This is by Brian Goldman and Michael Kernis. I don't know how two people can come up with the same quote, but I guess these guys did. I don't know. Maybe they helped each other. Maybe one of them was like, "Oh, that's retarded. Redo it." I don't know. But anyway, the unimpeded operation of one's true self, of one's true or core self in one's daily enterprise is authenticity.
Does it mean to like live genuinely?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like they're not like, oh, I'm doing this because this will get like this will do something. You're doing it for yourself.
Well,
That's how I feel it would be genuine.
Well, the authenticity, the existentialists believe, was like when you essentially, like, you live true to your convictions, basically. Like you didn't let outside pressures sort of. Warp them.
I see.
Yeah.
So you yourself decide on these decisions.
Exactly.
Decide on these decisions.
But
I think I need a life hack.
No, you don't. Can you self-administer the life hack?
Can you?
I mean, if you believe hard enough. You're
Just-
kind of going to be busy choking, though.
No, here's what you do. You just put it on your face, right? And then you just fucking slam your head against the
Dude, I
table.
used to just drink something when I was choking. I hope that's not bad.
No, but is choking in your esophagus or in your lungs?
It's
In your trachea.
It's in your
Wouldn't it-
trachea, right?
Isn't it?
if you're choking.
We're not bio-man majors here.
It's in your esophagus, and if you're choking on like water, for example, it's stuck in your epiglottis, which separates your windpipe from like.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, it seems to work.
That's a horrible design flaw. Why is it in the same hole? Why is it the same hole?
I don't know. Why, Mr. Existentialism, why do you think?
Twice as thick. You'd be twice the thick boy.
Choking it precedes being. I mean, being precedes choking.
Yeah.
So if you know what?
So you're not a person you're not a choking person. You're a person who is choking.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we just solved existentialism, dude.
Yeah, episode's over.
If you don't want to choke,
It's not over.
Yeah, if you don't want to choke, just be an existentialist. Realize, hey, I'm a guy. I don't need to choke. Just stop.
Nah, I don't think that's how it's gonna work.
No, maybe they need the life hack. if you're
Yeah.
choking. Yeah, I think they need the life
That
hack.
might help a little bit better than believing you're not gonna choke.
Wait, you're choking.
I'm not choking.
Actually, no, it's still he's the EMT, I think.
What?
Well, no, the guy in the chat has been giving us stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know him. So it's like he is an EMT, or I think he's used to be an EMT or something like that.
Oh, then.
But no, he sort of answered our question. He said trachea. So,
Okay. Yeah, Trigger. Thank you.
Yeah, he has done like medical stuff. So.
Yeah, more than I have.
Yeah, definitely.
Most medical thing I've ever done was, no, that's not that type of show.
Oh, jeez. But he says in the chat, I'm a nihilist when it's convenient. Like now, I spilled grease on my shirt and I don't give a fuck.
See, exactly. It could work out.
Yeah, exactly. But authenticity. Well, yeah, it's just well, as it says right here.
Life hack?
Huh?
Life hack?
No. The conscious self is seen as coming to terms with being in a material world and with encountering external forces, pressures, and influences which are very different from and other than itself.
Right on.
Yeah. So like, I mean, do you think people genuinely like? There's people who like feel as if they don't like really need to be authentic, and I guess there's-
Sellouts.
yeah, kind of. Well, in I guess the existentialists call them posers or something like
Like, I won't say George Lucas, but like George Lucas.
that. Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe George.
But then,
Lucas
like,
from
it does give you, like, gives you some bread, a little bit of money.
Well, I mean, yeah. But I mean, was George Lucas's convictions from the get-go not making as much money and making a good story? Because I mean, what if he just had come to terms with himself, believing that I'm just in this for the money, and just did everything true to his being?
Yeah, I don't think he did that. I think, I mean, 1 and 2 weren't that good, but 3 was, I'd say, was pretty good, and he got money in. We got a decent story.
Yeah.
I guess, like, General, I forgot his name, Grievous is pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought how he died was actually pretty fitting of his character.
Yeah.
Like his limitations ended up costing him his life.
But see, since existentialism, he is not his limitations. His limitations are a separate thing.
That's actually really interesting. So General Grievous, he wasn't like his race doesn't look like
No,
how he looks.
they're not that.
Yeah,
They're just dudes.
but he's confined obviously to this like suit that like causes him to breathe.
I'm
Like
pretty sure he's meant to be an allegory for Vader's future, like Anakin's future. I'm pretty sure that was what they were going with. It's like, oh, this is basically going to be the next big villain that you've seen 20 years ago.
yes,
But pretend like you didn't.
something like that. But like someone who I guess is like confined to say, life support like equipment.
They're confined to what keeps them on this earth.
Exactly.
And they
like,
probably are grumpy about it.
yeah, but like I mean,
General Kenobi.
enough of the Star Wars. Go on. I'm trying to make a philosophical. What's it? But anyway, like, could you say at that point that your existence precedes your essence, or would you have to force yourself to like acknowledge the fact that your qualities are?
That's some. That's some thinking right there.
Are you okay? At what point are you forced to like confront your qualities and be like,
Yeah,
okay, this is a
what
part
if-
of my existence?
What if like your existence is becoming to screw with your essence so bad? Like things are confining you to doing things that you just don't want to be.
Exactly.
It kind of it's like betrayal.
Exactly. What if you are just
It's
like
like Becky took the kids, like something like that.
yeah. Like, what if you're just chronically these things and now they're just a part of you? Like,
Yeah.
at what point does it become a part of you?
I guess when you let it. Like I would suppose if one was smart enough, well, not smart enough, but like, that.
Why is it
Thinking, a thinking man.
thinking enough?
Yeah, you'd think like, I don't gotta be this. This isn't me. I'm gonna keep doing what I do,
Yeah.
even if I can't do whatever the hell.
Just like Forrest Gump. Remember the scene when he like broke free of his
Yeah, like Forrest Gump when he
Yeah.
broke free of his things and then got AIDS. Yeah, just like Forrest Gump.
what?
You
You got AIDS?
Yeah.
When?
Didn't he? Because that Jenny.
No, he got it. Yeah, he had a kid. He didn't get AIDS.
What's the difference? Whatever the case might be.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
You don't let your limitations make you your. You are not your limitations.
Unless you are.
No, we just went through this.
No, I'm saying like you said that.
Unless
you
you let it. Unless
Yeah.
if you let it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Unless you are.
Like Forrest Gump wasn't his crutches. Forrest Grump was Forrest Grump. Gump. Gumbo. Well, let's continue.
Coconut shrimp. Anyway.
Oh God, that'd be good.
Dude, I went to like the Bubba Gump restaurant. Like
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty.
You
good.
should probably continue with your existential crisis.
Yeah.
though.
Okay. So here's the next one on angst and dread.
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of angst and dread. Let's read on.
This quote's by Adam Fong.
I'm very fond of this quote.
Whatever. But I'm guessing when you were doing this, is to help put in the chat Thong.
Yeah, thonking.
Yeah. I think I just thunk.
Read.
All right. All right. The sudden realization of a lack of meaning, often while one completes a task that is initially seems to have intrinsic meaning.
Oh, that hits close to home. When you just like, oh man, I just did this really good thing and it meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I feel that every day
Yeah.
when I get out of bed. I'm like, I got out of bed today, and then I go back and it's like, oh well, all right.
Back
I'm
to
back
bed.
in bed.
I'm right back where you started.
Yeah, it's a cycle of sleepies. I don't think that's what he meant by that.
Yeah.
I think he meant like you tried so hard and like, oh, lo and behold, it wasn't enough. You gotta keep going.
Well, I mean, that's kind of interesting though, because I mean, the idea of like the fact that you go back to where you belong, you know.
I belong in bed.
Well, you belong resting, like you know. Like I mean, remember that how the Taoists think about how like you used to be just like a non-coalesced energy, then you live a corporeal life, and then you go back into the
See,
aether.
but this is the thing. Rest, you could say death is eternal rest. So, if suicide's so bad, but we're supposed to be resting, why is suicide so bad?
Because I mean, maybe that split second of being is important than endless, slumber. Because I mean, if something's endless, then is it valuable?
Yes.
Really?
Well, it depends. Like, endless water is pretty valuable if you ask me.
No, but I'm saying, like, if it's, like, in endless abundance, Like the only reason why we need water is because we're alive and we need water. But I mean, there's a little bit of difference of having literally endless time to be nothing and having endless water. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I suppose like water's a material thing, whereas
like I mean, let's say you can exist endlessly like throughout all time. I mean,
you'd probably like lose your mind.
Yeah.
Your marbles.
Well, the thing is, like, you wouldn't have any anxieties. Like the idea of like being ageless. Like, would you like just would you prefer to be able to feel anxiety over being never able to feel it throughout the entirety of all existence?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That's that's a big thing. Hey, that that was actually something that they confronted in Adventure Time, like in that show, like basically like Finn's during the comment.
Oh
like,
yeah, when
arc.
the whole show went to garbage and started to suck really bad because I got really pedantic. Yeah, let's not talk about Adventure Time. I'll get visibly angry.
No, but like just one thing though, like Finn's dad, like he would like Finn was given the chance to basically ascend to like godhood. And like Finn was like, nah, I kind of like being
because like,
corporeal.
if you're getting godhood, that leaves you with like some responsibility, I'd imagine.
Well, no, he was saying how like you basically just ascend to like a position where you become endless throughout all time. Like there's no responsibility, there's no anything. There's you like that whole monologue the comet was having where you're bereft of the anxiety, depression, hunger, etc.
I don't know. I think I'd enjoy being a god. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, there's something in the chat.
You'd be eternal. Eternally powerful.
What are your thoughts on the philosophy behind Steven Universe?
I don't want to talk about that.
We don't want.
There is no philosophy. It's just crying.
Someone wrote in the chat, "What do you think of the philosophy about Steven Universe?" And
why are we talking about cartoons so much?
Well, no, dude, because that episode was like literally exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to get sidetracked by cartoons.
All right, don't worry about it.
Especially not that one. Even though I watch it
Yeah.
religiously, it's still pretty bad.
Don't worry about it. But
I just like awful things.
But yeah, angst and dread. It's the anxiety that comes with understanding your individual freedom and.
But then wait, what is so bad about ascending to godhood if you can't really do it, to my knowledge? But what's so bad about it? Why would you not? You get infinite.
Well, because
you relinquish all of your human angst and despair.
But the thing is that you don't have any angst or despair to compare it to at that point.
So who cares?
Well, that's what I wanted. That's what I was like saying because like what Finn's dad actually did. You remember that episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he actually ascended because he hated the idea of being responsible for things.
So there we go. Oh wait, but wouldn't that be kind of nihilistic then?
Oh yeah, he was an asshole. He was a bit of an asshole.
Those are 2 curse words right there. You just used up your limit.
Oh yeah. Next one, and then we're gonna get canceled or something like that.
Keep talking about Adventure Time. I'll probably curse. Let's get this show rolling.
It's gonna be really bad one.
Let's focus on this show rather than Adventure.
Stop putting in the chat Death Note theme, please. Jeez. All right.
Each chip.
But yes. Well, this is actually really important because it's also like realizing the responsibility tied to each of your independent actions.
Yeah, that sucks. So then if I just ascend there, bye-bye.
Jeez.
Well, no, but then you lose your human attachments. I would think for one to really want to ascend to godhood, they'd have to have no earthly attachments.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about certain professions, too. Like, I personally wouldn't do. Like, if I had no earthly possessions, I'd be in the military right now. But like, I'm so afraid of losing what I have here, so I don't go.
Fair enough.
So I just do podcasts.
Every Wednesday. But anyway, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tales from the Bottom of the Ocean, your new favorite philosophy podcast. Philosophy. Anom.
What are you talking about?
Don't worry about it. But here's the next one. Bad Faith. All right. So
sounds like a metal band.
Bad Faith. I don't have a quote for this one, so I'm just gonna have to talk about it. But it's actually really powerful because as soon as I learned about like what Bad Faith was, like I started seeing it literally everywhere.
You should probably elaborate what it is. Then.
Yeah, It's basically like a phenomenon in which human beings, under pressure from social forces, adopt false values and disown their own innate freedom.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
Wait, hold on. Hence, acting inauthentically. And when you're acting in bad faith, a person is actively denying their own freedom, however, rely on it to perform the denial.
I think my absolute favorite example of that is in like 3rd grade. When
I'm so scared. Go
no,
on.
don't be afraid. Like you'd be playing Pokemon, knowing it was so good,
No.
and that it was like so fun, and then all of a sudden,
Shut up. We can't. Are you gonna tell me the thing that you told me on the highway?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Go on.
I'm just saying, like, you think it's so fun, the best game, and then like everyone's playing it, but no one wants to admit it. It's like, oh, Pokemon's gay. Pokemon's stupid. Meanwhile, like they go home, they're like, yeah, gotta catch this Wurmple or something, Venomoth.
Oh, jeez.
It's like that, I'd say. Right?
Oh boy. Well.
I hope.
Yeah. It's basically like compromise. Like basically, you
That
don't
was
want.
so annoying. I hate people like that.
No, I really do. Like people who act in bad. Like I hate people who just don't have values at all.
Yeah.
So they're literally always acting in bad faith. Well, actually, like, can you act in bad faith if you don't have values?
It'd be objective. Like to you, no, you wouldn't be, but to other people, yeah, you would.
Yeah.
But they won't care because they don't. Bad faith. I guess they don't care about other people, so no, they won't care.
I just don't. I don't like people like that at all. Like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Hate them.
Yeah, but
You
like,
know who you are. No, I'm kidding.
just like acting disingenuous to like what you say or just like are.
Oh yeah, when they think like everything they're saying so far more important than what you're saying.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, who hasn't done that every now and again? You know. Like you've probably yeah.
Not me. I'm perfect.
Jeez. What if we all are perfect? But we're perfect because we have our imperfections.
Then there's no definition of perfection.
You're making me think really hard. Yeah, what if everything's meant to be how it is and everything's
That's really
perfect?
freaking Taoist, dude.
I know. That's what I feel comfy now.
What?
I feel comfier now. Like all my existential dread, like, oh man, I better get a career. I'm gonna die in the ground. Feels pretty good.
Yeah. There's something in the chat, Mike.
Yeah, I know. You should probably check that out.
Acting in bad faith require the knowledge that your actions will negatively affect another.
I wouldn't say so.
Well, yeah. Do you think? Okay. Do you,
Like imagine like a child. The child is like scribbling on the wall and like throwing poop around. He may not know that it's bad, but it's still bad.
a child or some people we know.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying. Go on. What were you saying?
Hold on, I need the life back real quick. No, I know what you mean though. Like, yeah. No, I know what he's saying. Like, if they don't know it's bad, are they really acting in bad faith? I think that's completely like subjective, I'd say.
Well, yeah. Well, I think what he's saying is that bad faith does require like knowledge of it, but in that case, you wouldn't even apply bad faith to it.
Unless you wanted to.
Man, yeah, but
So
then
there
it's
you go.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's wrong. Because I mean, because the whole idea of bad faith is that you're acting without authenticity, which remember is like you acting in accordance with your values. So if you
So no, then yeah, I'd say if you didn't know it was wrong, I guess you're not using bad faith.
yeah, because you wouldn't even hold it valuable if you didn't know about it.
Yeah, there we go. It's like who's a good example of that? Like Tayshawn Martin, that kid who stole that like. Remember that kid who, like, in 2007 stole his grandma's SUV? He probably didn't really know how bad that was.
I don't remember that.
It was so funny. The Boondocks made a good episode about it.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
That guy is based on a real kid. I don't think you could. How much could you put on a 7-year-old kid? Like obviously, yeah, he probably should have known he's not supposed to drive. But how much could you really get him in trouble with? He's 7. When I was 7, I was stealing cars. Like, so what?
What was funny is that I saw footage of it. Like they set it up perfectly. They didn't provide any context like who was gonna come out the car. But the car pulled up perfectly into the driveway, and then a kid just runs out to it.
Yes.
It was into the house.
Pretty sure he's smoking cigarettes too. Whatever. Moving on.
Oh jeez, what is he gonna tell his parents?
The news is gonna tell his parents.
Oh well.
You don't really have to tell your parents when everyone on Earth knows what you did.
Jesus.
If your parents are the last to know, then that's on them.
Yeah. But this is the big one. This is on despair.
Oh, yeah. Despair.
I know about that one. But this is on Soren Kierkegaard from his work, Works of Love. It's a bit of a long one.
Despair and love might as well go hand in hand.
Yeah. When the God-forsaken worldliness of earthly life shuts itself in complacency, the confined air develops poison. The moment gets stuck and stands still. The prospect is lost. A need is felt for a refreshing and living breeze to cleanse the air and dispel the poisonous vapors, lest we suffocate in worldliness.
I think it's like a direct counter to Taoism. Like that right there, I think is a criticism to it.
Really?
Because like a lot of it is like being not complacent, but like if you were to be in a rut, you kind of appreciate it. Like at least it's consistency. What I got from that quote was consistency to such a level is pretty bad. Like if you're in a rut, being on a rut's like the worst.
Well, yeah, this is like despair is essentially like the same as like the existential crisis.
I see.
Yeah.
I have one of those every day.
But it's like a loss of hope in reaction.
Do you ever just lay in bed and like you're trying to go to bed and then all of a sudden like your brain tells you you're gonna die one day? Happens every time.
Happens every time.
Every time. I'm just like, oh man, what if it's tonight? Let's find out.
But Ishtal posted something really good in the chat. He says it sounds like he is describing an anxiety attack.
What's the difference?
No. Like I mean, in the quote.
Oh, I thought you meant with me.
No, dude, we're not. It's not real time. Like real time.
Well, that makes sense because like anxiety was well known back then to be like a mental thing.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean,
then
some people thought it would like
that
required exorcism.
That does sound like anxiety.
So,
Because like if you're in a rut, you're like, man, things are not going anywhere. Oh man, what am I gonna do? That happens to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like now.
But it's a breakdown on one or more of the defining qualities of oneself or identity. They find themselves unable to be defined for their being, or no, unable to be what define their being.
I agree.
I've had a couple of those so far.
Like today?
No.
Oh.
I'm actually doing all right. Unfortunately. I mean,
unfortunately.
Wait, no.
I mean, you are giving foreign currency to delis.
Yeah. I don't know why that was in there. But, I don't know. I just had 10 pence on me. Thought it was a quarter.
It wasn't.
It wasn't a quarter.
I don't think 10 pence is worth very much in USD either.
I don't know.
I really don't know currency. I don't know how anything works. I'm really stupid. Like, I feel like a newborn child every time I get out of bed. Which would actually be kind of good, because like you get to be a kid again all over again. But then you're like, oh man, you see a lawyer or something.
Pence is 14.3 cents in US dollars.
Oh, so
like, it's actually more. Wait, I could have exchanged that for technically more money.
I think there's rules. You can't just bring in pences and be like, oh, here you go. This is worth more money. I'm sure you know that. And the guy behind the deli's like, what the hell is this?
It's got the Queen of England on it.
Yeah, like she ain't my queen. Not anymore.
Not my queen. But Jesus Christ.
What about him?
Oh, he's a good man.
Was he?
I don't know, actually.
No, yeah, he was. Let's just assume he
probably.
was.
But anyway, so Mike, we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
on Earth or like just with this?
Both. But
there goes that existential crisis again. Only a few hours earlier.
I mean, with me, I mean, I deeply valued like the things that define me in a way. I mean, I don't too much anymore, but like I mean, I play. We play D&D. I'm the DM. And, like, it would really crush me if, like, either I could just never DM ever again or just, like, I realized that, like, I was actually, like, awful at it.
That's how I feel about, oh, God, what am I good at?
Judo?
No, I'm not that good. I'm good at writing English papers.
Really?
Yeah, I write them I shouldn't really be advertising this considering it's not very good to do. But, like, I've written, like, essays, and I'm like, wow, cool.
Well.
Like, I got people A's. Well, I help them out, Help them out. Like, just gave them advice. Not bad.
Oh, someone's reading in the chat that they want Mike's Mysteries.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll give them a Mike's Mysteries.
Well, are you sure? Because, I was actually going to ask you, like, we can We can just really quick do the question of the day and then do the news segment, or we can.
I could ad-lib a Mike's Mysteries right now because I've got something on my mind.
I'm scared, but
Want me to do it?
well, let me first say the question of the day. Basically, Friedrich Nietzsche had made the claim that God is dead.
God is dead, people.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
What's weird is that as soon as I said that, the air conditioning turned off. But it basically he was saying that the Enlightenment eliminates any rational belief in gods or gods. So the question is, what does that mean for the world of civilized men?
I think it means that like you kind of put responsibilities that like some people may give to God to yourself. I think either way is fine.
Which do you think is harder?
Nowadays, believing in like a god, because a lot of people tend not to do so anymore. Like I don't know, I only know like a handful of devout Catholics, whereas 20 years ago, almost everybody would be a devout something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say it's pretty hard to believe in something like that. I guess it's easier to believe in yourself than somebody else, and a god would technically be somebody else.
Yeah.
You want me to do a nice ad-libbed Mike's Mysteries? Because you know why it'd be very good, and I'm telling you this? It makes me angry.
Wait, is it the thing?
I don't know what thing you're referring to. If you let me say it real quick. I should have like 6 minutes and 45 seconds or so.
I do have like, it's too long. Okay, so do Mike's Mysteries.
All right, so what makes me really mad
Mike's Mysteries, everybody. Here we go.
is owls. Scientists like to
I really
use...
regret doing Mike's Mysteries immediately.
No, I'm telling you. All right, so in the nice little land of West Virginia, there are like numerous. Like you got Mothman, who is one alien that I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the Flatwoods Monster. Okay. Which was a monster that was about 10 feet tall. That a bunch of kids saw like a glowing red light.
You're just thinking about this right now.
Yeah, I tell the story in my head every day.
It's like a cartoon going on in your head all the time. Yeah. I think
it's amazing. It's a good cartoon.
Go on.
So this ball of light is appearing in the sky. So a bunch of kids, curious as kids are, go to it, and they are encountered by a allegedly 10-foot tall, mustard gas spewing alien with glowing red eyes, very intimidating. Their dog, like halfway there, their dog ran up to it and ran right back with his tail between his legs. So that's the mystery of that, is the fact that was it a real alien? Because scientists like to say that it's an owl, and I would like to understand how you confuse an owl for a 10-foot tall monster made of metal shooting mustard gas. First of all, where'd the mustard gas come from? It's like you're on a hill. Second of all, there's a big glowing orb in the sky. Where'd that come from? You're not explaining that. And they did the same thing with Mothman. They said, "Oh, it's just barn owls." No, it wasn't a barn owl.
We saw something that was 80 feet tall and it created a tsunami.
How is a barn owl at 10 feet tall? They're like, "Oh, maybe it was standing on foliage." Okay, but it was moving around.
Wait, what was it doing?
The scientists, they were like, maybe it was just like a barn owl standing on like some sticks. Oh. No, how could that be? How were its eyes glowing? How is all this happening? I believe those kids encountered a real alien. And that is Mike's Mysteries. It makes me so mad.
It's the last one. We're never doing that again.
No, it's interesting. Don't you find it interesting that first of all, why is it always West Virginia that gets attacked by these creatures? Well, yeah. Mothman wasn't. That's the difference. Mothman was like not really an attacker. It was just like it led up to disaster. Defender. No, it just showed up. It showed up, and then bad things happened. Oh, Flatwoods actively, apparently, attacked some kids. But how is it an owl? How do you mistake such a thing for an owl?
I don't know. That's ridiculous.
It is.
Like a 10 feet tall monster that spewed mustard gas?
Yeah, like the kids were like choking and like like they were having like symptoms, like their skin was burning. It was like symptoms of mustard gas.
Jesus.
How does that even happen? An owl's doing it?
Well,
Wouldn't they be the apex predator of Earth if they could just shoot mustard gas?
I don't know.
Do you know what I would be doing if I could shoot mustard gas?
What?
Nothing. I'd be a good boy. I would not be doing anything nefarious. Well, no, I'd probably be like call myself the gas man.
The gas.
I'd like show up and like criminals is like take this, and I just like put my hand over their face, like shoot mustard gas, and that's gruesome.
And then you would use the choke vacky thingy. Like
But see, that goes back to existentialism. Is that really bad? Is that bad faith to be doing it for good, even though I know it's wrong? If I'm doing something wrong to do good,
That's another thing. Batman never acted in bad faith, except in like those some movies where he did.
yeah.
Where he had to like kill the Joker, because that's the whole thing. Like with Batman and the Joker, their dynamics. That Batman is someone who will
Yeah,
not.
I don't like it when people say, "Oh, if you kill Joker, you'll be just as bad as him." No, you won't. What do you mean? How?
Well, it depends. Like 'cause the Joker is a hyperbole on like the greatest scale, because
So then, if you eliminate him, there you go. No more hyperbole.
well, no, but I'm saying like there'll never really be a Joker in the actual like world. You mean, or
You sure about that?
well, maybe, but
If I have mustard gas spewing from my hands, perhaps I could be evil.
yeah, but maybe there would. But in the end, it's very unlikely. Obviously, now the Joker, he's just supposed to be chaos, like incarnate, like manifested. Like I think in Injustice, like in the video game Injustice 2 or whatever, he like killed 5
I think
million.
I'm pretty chaotic. I think I just derailed the whole show. Speaking of, how much more of that you got?
Nobody knows. Nobody remembers anything that we just talked about.
I remember
previously.
it.
No, I'm just saying.
I was here though.
No. Right now, their heads are just like going in circles with the Mothman and owls and shit, like on sticks and whatnot, and mustard gas and the plumbus we got or whatever the fuck it's called, the life vac. That's all they really care. That's all they really care about. None of this mattered. And you know what? That's kind of existential in a way.
Do you want to do a part 2? We could do a part 2.
I mean, I guess to talk about like
Because this is a big subject.
to talk about the
And you
subject that we
have
skipped.
like the class clown right here, and I'm the only student. So
Well, it's gonna definitely be an adventure, but we'll have to save that for unfortunately next time. Which what do you want to do next time?
if you want to keep doing existentialism, why not?
I guess we could, but
We skimmed a little.
well, actually, we did everything except the very last thing. But
Oh.
next time on Tales of the Bottom of the Ocean, I think we'll tackle our new segment called the Dive, where basically we take a lot more of a focused look on one of the philosophers that envelops this sort of school of thought, and one of his works that made him famous. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit about Albert Camus and his work on the stranger and the myth of Sisyphus.
I'll try not to derail it too hard this time.
I'm
I'm Mike Kempf.
I am Austin Andrews, and we were not just told to say that.
And this is Tales from the
This is
Bottom
Tales
of the
from the-
Ocean.
We were also not told to say that either.
And where are we going?
That